Multiple sources are reporting Texas A&M plans to part ways with head coach Jimbo Fisher. What does this mean for the future?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. We are your team every day. Texas A&M is parting ways with head coach Jimbo Fisher. It is being reported Billy Lucci of Tex Ags, per multiple sources, Texas A&M set to part ways with Jimbo Fisher as early as today. So I want to add the early caveat at the time of this recording. It is not official yet. Now, it's still expected. If reports are flying out like this, we expect this news to come any minute. But at the time of this recording, that is not official yet. But the question is, why was Coach Fisher fired? What went wrong in his tenure at Texas A&M? What were the issues? Why did this happen? And that's what we're going to discuss. My immediate thoughts are the program has invested so much into Coach Fisher, into recruiting, into the football program as a whole, given him some of the best talent in college football. We talk about this a ton, as you everydayers know, on this show right here at Locked On Aggies. Coach Fisher was gifted one of the most talented teams in all of college football, and he just wasn't winning football games. And he was recruiting at this high level for years and years and years. So it's not like he just, he's just got these new players. He's just got these new recruits. He has had this talent for a very long time. And aside from really the 2020 season, not a ton of success followed and came with all of these talented football players, all these talented recruits. So I would say this. I was a little bit surprised. I was. When I saw the news, I was a little bit surprised. You don't often see a coach get let go after a massive blowout win. You just don't see it a ton. It doesn't happen all the time. That surprised me a little bit. I was a little, you beat Mississippi State 51-10 with your third string quarterback. I was a little surprised with the decision, but it still had to be done at some point. We're going to talk about in segment 2 of today's episode of Locked On Aggies, today's reaction show, talking about the parting ways of Texas A&M with Coach Jimbo Fisher. We're going to talk about the national perspective, the 2024 season, some different things like that, and potential coaches, potential names to throw in for potential the next coach of Texas A&M. But I think that in the 2024 season is why I'm surprised, which I'll talk about in segment 2. But I think that the decision had to be made. My take for why I think the Aggies should have maybe held on to Jimbo Fisher for one more season is because of next year, which, like I said, I'll discuss. But, here's the deal. With what's left on his contract, which is around $75 million, many years left on his contract, he had to have done a very, very poor job for them to say, hey, we will give you all of this money to no longer coach here. And that's what's happened. Coach Fisher, he just hasn't succeeded with talent. And that's what's so frustrating. Over here at Locked On Aggies, breaking down this season as a whole, getting ready to go for the start of the 23 college football season, we said, look at this talent. Could this be the year where it clicks? Could this be the year where everything goes right and Texas A&M makes a run, has a great season? Could this season be the year? And it's not. You've had a couple things not go your way when it comes to injuries. You've had some stuff go wrong, but you're sitting 6-4. You've had one possession losses. And then, the other thing I'll say, the verbiage Coach Fisher used about the program frustrated me some. And Coach Lane Kiffin poked some fun at him for it. Said, "Yeah, well, Texas A&M. I know Jimbo's goal is to get bowl eligible." Coach Fisher said he said that, and a program with the top. Just think about this. Look at this. Look at this from the outside perspective. Okay, we're talking about a top 5 roster in college football based on blue chip ratio. And it is. This is a top 5 roster in college football. Coach Fisher is coaching. And you are out here saying, yeah, well, we just want to get bowl eligible. The verbiage around that, we'll talk about recruiting in segment 3. Think about the recruiting aspect of that. Okay, so yeah, well, I'm a recruit. I'm a highly ranked recruit. And look how good the team I'm going to go play for is. They're going to be bowl eligible. No, you want to be competing for a national championship. The verbiage around the whole, we just want to get bowl eligible. And then I think it was 2 or 3 days ago that Coach Fisher said, yeah, we're the best 5-4 team in college football. Who I don't care. I know all y'all everydayers here at Locked On Aggies don't care. We don't care about being the best 5-4 football team. We wanted to be the best 9-0 football team, 8-1 football team. And 5-4 with this roster shouldn't cut it. And then the 1 possession losses. Lose by 7 to Tennessee in Knoxville. You lose by 3 to Ole Miss in Oxford. You lose by a couple points to Bama. I forget the final score of that one. Let me pull that up. You lose by 6 points at home against Bama. It's just you have 3 one-possession close losses to ranked football teams. 1 at home, 2 on the road. And it's just frustrating because there were some coaching decisions in those games that we've discussed here on the show that played a role. Whether it was, lack of aggression at the end of halves and different things like that led to losses, maybe not going for it in a certain spot or going for it in a certain different coaching decisions. I'm not saying they're easy to make, but at the end of the day, that is the job of a head football coach. And then, you talk about the value. What value did Jimbo Fisher bring this season? So let's think about this too. We'll never, I don't think, officially know what was going on with play calling this season. Was it Coach Petrino? Was it Coach Fisher? Was it both of them combined? I don't think we'll ever officially know what's going on there, with the play calling or what went on with the play calling. But I think that you could argue, well, if you got Coach Durkin on defense and you got Coach Petrino on offense calling the plays, what does that leave Coach Fisher to do aside from make the little, detailed decisions, which many times this season, I think Texas A&M fans can agree that he made the wrong decision. Like I said, whether it's going into half and being not aggressive in a football game, just being happy up 3 points instead of say, hey, let's go get a field goal, go up 6. Let's go score a touchdown, go up 10. Decisions like that. I think that he just brought so little to the team based on, head coaches, it just seems like he wasn't doing much. And the stuff he was doing wrong, you could argue. So I get the decision. I get the money you have to pay him. I get it because Texas A&M football needs to go in a different direction. And we're going to talk about that different direction, some potential names in this coaching search, and what this means for the 2024 season coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. Our wonderful friends over at Game Time bring so much joy should bring joy to all Texas A&M fans in a weird time. Game Time is the best place to go get your last minute tickets. What I love about Game Time, they beat the competition. The competition, I was at a football game with my dad just the other day. We went to look at ticket prices at some competitors of Game Time. They're just higher. You pay more other places. Game Time is in the business of saving you money, getting you the tickets, getting you to the venues, getting you where you want to be for the best prices, whether it's comedy, whether it's a concert, whether it is a sporting event. Game Time has got you covered. it is the best place to go get your tickets. I promise they're going to save you money. It's quick, convenient. They have a little feature where you can see on the app where your seat is. You can see what's around you. It's a great app that is there to save you money. You have got to go check out Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Now we're going to talk more national perspective, 2024 potential names in the coaching search here. And to me, one thing I had talked about a ton here at Locked On Aggies is why I thought they should hold on to Coach Fisher for one more season, hope it works out, and then make this decision they made next season. And I want to keep adding the caveat, I want to add at every segment, that nothing has, this has not been nothing is official yet, but it's being reported by ESPN, by Texas A&M. It's being reported everywhere. So we're going to keep adding that caveat. So the national perspective on this for the 2024 season, I look at the 2024 season. I've talked about this a ton. You have one of the most talented rosters in college football, full of that 2022 talent that was this season's sophomores. Next year, they're going to be juniors. Some of those guys include your Evan Stewarts, your Conner Weigmans, your big old Walter Nolens. Those guys, that's the names included in this list. And they're going to be ready to rock and roll, ready to go for their junior season. And so the schedule for 2024 is so manageable. All of your difficult games are at home. It's just it's a schedule where the Aggies truly could have made, and I still think truly could made, depending on if you make the right coaching hire, a college football playoff run. So that is the reason I was a bit surprised when they did decide, when they have leaned toward letting go of Coach Jimbo Fisher. The question now becomes, can you flip a program like this? Can you pull a Tennessee, a TCU? Can you take a program and flip it and turn it into something special really quick? That is what the Aggies need. The other question is, where are players going to go? What's going to happen here? There is a lot left to come, a lot of talking points that need to be had. But that this 2024 season, as I said, it's going to be interesting to see how the decision you make coaching affects the outcome of the 2024 season. Because the way I look at this, I look at it and I say, I think that with the resource, whatever coach they do end up hiring, with the resources that they will have, they can flip this thing quick to where I do think Texas A&M will be able to compete next season, compete for a national championship, compete for a college football playoff, just based off you're going to be able to keep some of the talent around. All of it, probably not. Some of it, yes. You're going to be able to keep some of the recruiting class around. All of it, no. Some of it, yes. You're going to have talent on this team next year. And then whoever the coach is, you got to assume that he's going to bring some talent, some from whatever the previous school is. Some talent is going to come with that coach to Texas A&M. The roster will be talented. I really believe that. The question is, will it be able to get to the level you need it to be to compete for an SEC championship, for a national championship, a college football playoff appearance immediately? That is going to be where the question, where that is going to be what's interesting about this whole process. Will this happen now? Will this happen in the future? One thing I can tell you from the Coach Jimbo Fisher era is that Texas A&M fans are tired of talking future. Texas A&M fans want it now. They want to be a team competing for a national championship right this second. And they deserve that with all of the money in this program, with all of the financial support Coach Fisher's had, the next coach will have. This program needs to be competing for a national championship, deserves to be competing for a national championship. So this is we're getting to a point where 2024 can still be a special season if you make the right coaching decision, if you get some players from your current recruiting class to stick around, if you get some players from on the current roster to stick around, and whichever coach comes in to take over the job brings some talented players from wherever that coach comes from. So now we're going to talk about just a few names, and we'll talk about this a ton more, but I want to just lay out some names I have here real quick. I've got Dan Lanning over at Oregon. I've got Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss. I got Kalen DeBoer, the Washington coach, who has taken that team to the moon. And then I do have the name because it's going to be discussed, Deion Sanders. I know that there was a lot of hype around Deion Sanders around primetime because of the start to the season, but they've struggled. I still think that name's going to be floated around. Is he a college football coach? Will he succeed? Will he go down as an all-time great football coach? It's still to be seen. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that he is going to be in the conversation. I can tell you that with the recruiting money and all that the Aggies have, that he could recruit at a very high level. Some of these other guys, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning. Lane Kiffin, once again, the backing that he has at Ole Miss is not quite nowhere near what Texas A&M has. Another guy, it would be scary to know what Lane Kiffin can do with a talent, with this kind of recruiting class, with this kind of recruiting money. The Washington coach, Kalen DeBoer, give him a shot. I mean, look what we've seen this year. Their offense, they played Utah yesterday. Utah has a great defense. Their defense, when I checked, total defense was number 9 in the country. And Washington just made it look like it was nothing. I mean, they couldn't be stopped. They were incredible. It's a great offense. Then Dan Lanning, what is he without Bo Nix at quarterback? We're not really sure, but we know what he is with Bo Nix at quarterback. And I believe that you can have a quarterback like Bo Nix at Texas A&M, a talented guy, whether he's a transfer, whether he's a recruit. So these are an early 4 names. We'll do more. This is going to be the conversation here at Locked On Aggies. We will do a lot more who's going to be the guy talk. A lot of this will break down, but 4 guys that I think will be in the conversation right there. That's where I immediately lean toward. And then the Duke coach, I've heard that name floating around. I think Elko. I think you could see him in the conversation as well. There's a lot of names are going to float around, and this is going to be a fun time because it's going to be a lot of fun breaking down who will be the next head coach at Texas A&M. We are going to talk about recruiting and how can you hold on to some of these talented players on the roster, and then of course, how can you hold on to your 2024 recruiting class? And we will do that coming up right here at Locked On Aggies. We got to talk about our wonderful friends over at LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right person for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs is something I've used personally. I use it all the time. I love how you can build connections when it comes to finding jobs. Also, if you're an employer looking for employees, it's the place to go. If you're an employee looking for work, it's the place to go. LinkedIn Jobs, no matter your situation, whether you're looking for a job or you're looking for employees, is your place to go. It is just the perfect app. I absolutely love it. I use it myself. You got to go check it out if you don't already have an account. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. One last conversation on today's reaction show of Locked On Aggies. It's funny, once again, ladies and gentlemen, I woke up expecting to react to the win over Mississippi State, and we're reacting to something a whole lot different. But and I want to add the caveat one more time that it is being reported that Texas A&M plans to part ways with Coach Jimbo Fisher. Nothing is official at the time of this recording. So I just want to add that caveat in there as we continue to have this conversation here at Locked On Aggies. But now we are going to talk about recruiting. The 2024 recruiting class is full of a ton of talent. You've seen a couple players move on. You've seen the big tackle, and you've seen Draylon Miller. You've seen some guys kind of move away from this recruiting class. You're going to see a lot more move on. Can you hang on to Cam Coleman? I know Auburn was big in on Cam Coleman, and he's a kind of a hometown guy there. Is Auburn going to make a push at Cam Coleman? Can you hold on to him? Can you hold on to a Bussy? Can you hold on to some of these highly ranked 4 5-star recruits? I don't think so. I think that you are going to now. One thing you could see is you could see these guys decommit. You could see a Lane Kiffin, any of those coaches I talked about, I listed. You could see them brought in, and these guys go, okay. With the evaluations they got for financial reasons, different things, I might head back to Texas A&M. You could see that play out, but you are going to see some decommitments. You are going to lose some top recruits, and you could see that come in the coming days. That could happen tomorrow. That could happen today. That could happen in the next week. You're going to see some recruits get out of there. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with the 2024 recruiting class. And then recruiting your own roster. I mean, we saw what Conner Weigman can be. Conner Weigman can be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Will he stick around? Will a quarterback whisperer, will a coach who's, a quarterback whisperer come in and you see Conner Weigman stay around? What is going to happen with that? Ruben Owens, Evan Stewart, Walter Nolen, the Shamars. I mean, what's going to happen with these talented football players? Are you going to lose them? Are they going to stay here? A lot of it depends on the coaching hire. I think you could see some guys enter the portal, and then you bring in your coach, and your coach is really happy. It talks to these players and say, hey, look at the vision. Look what I did in my previous stop. You're going to want to stick around. Could you see something like that play out? And that is going to be, I think you could argue, what makes or breaks this transition, and makes or breaks it in the sense of, will you be ready to go for the 2024 football season? Because I've talked about how easy the schedule is. We talked about that in segment 2. And will that work out? Will it work out for 2024? Because the schedule just works out so nicely to where you got to make a push this season. This season is it. Well, next season, excuse me. You got to make a push. You got to make a run. So whatever coach comes in, I think there needs to be the expectation. You need to, with the money they're going to have for recruiting, with all the different things they're going to have, you got to make an early run at this. Because like I said, are you going to keep all the recruits? No. Are you going to keep all of the current 5-stars, the current highly ranked guys on your roster right now? No. But you're going to keep some of them to where you're going to still have probably a top 10 roster in college football next season. And then if you bring in a Lane Kiffin, maybe let's say he brings Quinshon Judkins with him. That's just speculation, but talented players can come with coaches. So, that's going to be what's going to be key for 2024 football success for the Aggies, is going to be how can the coach that is brought in recruit the current Texas A&M roster and recruit the 2024 recruiting class. And then will whatever the coach is, does he currently have players committed that you could bring over with you to Texas A&M? Different things like that could play out. This is going to be a very, very, very interesting few weeks, maybe month here at Locked On Aggies, here at Texas A&M football program. It's going to be a weird time. And, I think the decision had to be made. I do. To kind of sum up some last second thoughts before we call it a day to this reaction show to Texas A&M planning to part ways with Coach Fisher. I'm a little, frankly, I'm surprised. I woke up. I was not expecting that news. Especially after a big win, you just don't see that a ton. It sounds like the decision was kind of made previous. Like it wasn't like they, after the win, they're like, yeah, we're going to fire Coach Fisher. It sounds like it was made a few days before, according to the tweet from Billy Lucci. But at the end of the day, I think the decision had to be made. Coach Fisher had one of the most talented rosters in college football, and he continued to not succeed. It just can't slide anymore. So, new coach, there's going to be a new coach at Texas A&M. It's going to be a lot of fun breaking this down, looking for new coaches, talking about recruiting, talking about transfer portal. It's all going to be enjoyable. This is going to be fun conversation. And I think Aggie fans, now we're going to have a real conversation right now. This has been hard. This has been a hard few seasons. The production hadn't been there on the field with talent, and it has been frustrating. Texas A&M has been we've been laughed at, we've been made fun of for what's gone on with the talent and lack of production. Now it's finally we're moving on to something that's going to be great. I just have the suspicion that whoever the coach is that they bring in is going to take this football program to a very, very special place. So to sum everything up, Coach Fisher, they're planning to part ways with Coach Fisher. Over the buyout's going to be somewhere 70, 75. I've seen 75 reported million. It's a big buyout. National perspective, whoever the coach comes in needs to be ready to compete immediately because the 2024 season, the schedule is gettable. You can go and make the move immediately. You can go and make a run of this immediately. So whoever the coach is needs to know we got to get going quick. We got to recruit. We got to bring in players from the portal. Got to go quick. And then the recruiting when it comes to 2024 recruiting and when it comes to recruiting the players on the current Texas A&M roster is going to be a big key to that as well. You have got to hold on to some of these players. You got to make sure that some of these guys stick around. It's going to be very important to what's going on with this football program. That is going to do it for this reaction show of Locked On Aggies. Thank you all for tuning in. Any new listeners here? I'm at Locked On Aggies. We're your team every day. I'm here 5 days a week. We have reaction shows. We have different things going on. So if you're new, if you're an Aggie and you're new, stick around. We'll be breaking down this coaching search every single day. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the show. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, if you can review the show, it helps as well. If you're new here, appreciate you being here. Hope you stick around. You everydayers that are always here, once again, thank you. I appreciate it. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy some NFL football. Brighter days are coming for the Texas A&M Aggies.